welcome. Today we are reviewing a 1966 Impala owned by my buddy Matt. He's graciously let me drive this car today. I'm going to try and attempt to start it for the first time. Here's hoping I can actually do that.
Alright. Nice.
Whew. That's one hurdle down. But with this car, there will be many more. Yeah, so this is a 1966 Impala, 4th generation of the B body platform, which was Chevy's full-sized. Which, speaking of full-size, this thing is actually 213 inches long. That's 10 inches longer than the 2020 Escalade. Yeah, it's pretty big. Although, at the time, it wasn't that much bigger than other cars, because the 1970 Dodge Charger RT was 208 inches, and that was considered mid-sized by Mopar. So really, it wasn't that much bigger than other cars at the time. But still, in terms of cars, it's big. Now, speaking of the car, it is powered by a small block Chevy 327, which they came in two variants, the 250 horsepower, 275 horsepower. Let's just assume this one's the 275 horsepower.
Yeah, well, I don't really know.
Yeah. But it's a Power Glide, 2-speed automatic transmission. Yeah, that's right, two gears. Yeah, none of that 8-gear, like 20, like, no. 2. That's all you get. Alright, now, the thing is, when it comes down to Power Glide, basically, it's a 2-speed transmission when it really should have 3 gears in it. Because of that, it is very, very stout. This thing takes up to a lot of abuse, and that's why people build these things for transmissions. Because think about it, when was the last time you heard about someone building a transmission? Everyone talks about building an engine. Transmissions, not so much. So, let me also explain why you're able to shift it. So let's say, shift it down to low. Basically, again, you need to press the button in order to actually shift it. But here's the thing, all you need to do is just bump it up into drive. Now if you're a little bit too antsy about it, you can actually bump it up to neutral. But, here's the party piece, reverse lockout. You actually have to press down the button in order for it to shift to reverse, and then subsequently park. So again, when Matthew and I, in this video, have been shifting it from drive to low, you actually have to press down the button. Like that. Because, if not, again, it has a lockout. You can still bump it up into neutral, but you cannot shift it down to low. You have to press the button. Again, it's one of those things where I understand, it's not really that conventional, but again, it's old technology. And even in the original brochure, it said that you could bump start it. Yeah, bump start an automatic transmission. It just goes to show how stout this thing is. And also, why people love this thing. Because again, just to reiterate, look. You can't bump it into reverse.
Yeah, so it's like a factory ratcheting shifter, basically, with reverse lockout.
Honestly, yeah. And again, that's another reason why this car is so fun. So, woo! Now another cool thing to note about this car is that it has a 4-link rear end, which was really weird because, other muscle cars or, sportier cars that were made by the Americans didn't really have 4 links that much. It was a very sought-after option because now aftermarket support has obviously come in, but these people were doing it from the factory. So a 4-link, in layman's terms, is that there are 2 links or 2 bars that keep the rear axle from going forward and back, and then the other 2 links make sure that the axle doesn't move side to side, which is really good when you're drag racing or road racing or any other kind of motorsport like that, which is kind of ironic because they put it in the full-size car. car that no one really takes road racing. Now, the one thing I'm going to try and answer today is this a real muscle car? Because, let's be honest, it has the more basic drivetrain. The only thing that really separates it from the pack was the 4-link rear end. But I'm going to try and argue that this thing is a muscle car, tried and true. Even though really, all it is just a spec'd up car that your grandmother would take to church. What really does separate it from just your average grandma car? Well, it has the 327, which was the highest output small block that they offered at the time, which was eventually the 350 was a successor. But in this car you could get an inline 6, 283, 327, 396 big block, or 427, which again, that's a wide array of engine choices. But yeah, so when it comes down to this car, it had a lot of engine options, but the 327, it was the one where it's like, hey look, I like to have fun, I like to get down on the weekends, you know, but I don't want all that big block power and gas mileage consumption. But with this car, again, speaking of, you know, how big it is gorgeous, it really is. I mean, the Coke fenders, because it is a cool styling cue. Speaking of that, I also got to talk about the trunk. Alright, I'm now going to demonstrate how huge this trunk actually is. Wow, I can actually almost stretch out completely in this trunk. I mean,
Honestly, if you turn around, you probably can.
perfect. There are apartments in Brooklyn that are smaller than this.
And,
Oh shit.
but, and also, there's room for another person in there too.
Don't worry, I won't speak out against the family again. Oh god. It really is huge. God.
And hey, that little filler right there is for air shocks. So I can jack it right back up.
Yeah. It really is a ginormous trunk, and it just goes to show, like with these cars, they knew what they were talking about. They knew what they were doing. When they set out to make a big car, they made a big car. Love it. Now also, speaking of the body lines, another thing that I thought is really nice that they did was where they actually had the gas filler. Now another really interesting feature about these cars is that there are no fuel filler doors, which again, that's to help with the shape, to make it look more streamlined along the side, because you know, you'd be able to see it. So the way that you actually fill this thing up with gas is, well, right there. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But that was just the design of the time. I mean, a lot of people did it, you know, Mustangs did it, that kind of stuff. But it really helps clean up the body lines, and I honestly personally like it. I kind of wish that we'd bring this design back again, or at least something kind of similar to it. Because, you know, the body lines on this car, they look really, really good on their own, and I feel like, you know, having a gas cap alongside, throw everything off, wouldn't look good. But creative thinking. The rims on the car, which are 15s, rallies, that are 235s in the front, 275s in the rear, which give it a really stellar look. Alright. Oh, hard there. Now it's obvious that this car has been repainted because from factory it's this is more of like a cream white. From factory it's more of like a Arctic white. But going back to my original point, I don't believe that this is just an upgraded grandma's car. I believe that this is a tried and true muscle car because of the 4-link, because of the roof line, because this is technically the fastback roof line, and also how it's no post, which is very dangerous. And yeah, in terms of rollover, you're done, but in terms of aesthetics, it looks absolutely gorgeous, especially with the windows rolled down and everything. Speaking of the windows, this thing was not an air car. If it was an air car, then it would have small holes in the vents, in like a little silver strip area, but this does not have that, unfortunately. But here's the thing, this car was designed back when, you know, AC, nah, that's for people who have money. We have vent windows. Speaking of safety, this thing has none. It has lap belts, 4-wheel drums, because actually in 67 is when they actually had the first option for discs in the front, but this has drums all the way around.
And a single master cylinder, which means that if your brakes go out from that,
you're done.
And the parking brake doesn't work, so yeah.
Good to know.
And the dash is metal too.
Dash is metal, and also the column is non-collapsible, which means that, you know, the passenger will get a concussion on the dashboard and the driver will be impaled. Good stuff. Here, take it right here.
I don't know what's that way. I mean, you can go straight and get back to where I know, or you can just take the new road and see what it does. Alright, okay. Just saying, like, if you kill us and mess up my car, I will never forgive you.
Now, speaking of body roll, this thing has tons of it. Despite this thing having the 4-link, it still handles like
a bed.
A bed. I might as well have a captain's hat because I am steering the ship. Now, also, speaking of this thing having drum brakes, yeah, you can't feel them. Like, it's a marshmallow. It's like trying to stomp the brakes on a Tempur-Pedic pillow. I mean, it's just like, you press down, you press down, you press down. You can tell it's like, I'm kind of slowing down. But also, again, this thing is on the bigger side of 3,000, almost 4,000 pounds, depending on, like, you know, how heavy the driver is. So, yeah, that combined with, because the other thing is that, you know, like the drum brakes and the single master cylinder, on their own, they're not too horrible. But with how big this car is, that's the problem. The biggest problem is oil consumption. Now, this car, as far as Matthew knows, or, you know, he bought it off of the owners down in South Carolina, and they only had it for a little while. They didn't have it for
2 or 3 years. They bought it from someone in Tennessee, and until then it was in Connecticut.
Basically, this car has changed hands quite a few times since its inception in 1966. And because of that, no one knows how many miles are on this thing. I mean, right now this car says it has 5,678, but that's probably more like 305. Because of how bad this thing burns oil. The piston rings are shot, the compression is probably non-existent. But
stem seals.
Oh yeah, stem seals. Basically the motor is just not good. It's not in a good way. Because for about every half tank of gas, Matt has to put in like what, about a quart of oil?
About a quart, and I run 30 weight.
Yeah, and he runs straight
with
up
stabilizer.
30 weight, stabilizer. It's bad. This thing has a drinking problem. Speaking of drinking problem, this thing's gas consumption. Here's the thing, this was made back when, you know, gas was about, you know, less than $1. And today, this sucks on gas. I'm trying to actually kind of hypermile it. 10 mpg. There is one really, really good redeeming quality about this car. The exhaust. The exhaust on this thing is set up. So, mode, which came off the Corvettes, into a 2 1/4 inch pipe, which goes straight back into a muffler. They call it the pipes violators, which just saying that out loud makes me feel like I need to take a shower. But they do sound amazing to then 2.5 inch chrome tips at the back.
Yep, turn downs.
Turn downs. Still, this car sounds amazing, and Matthew will admit, it's kind of, you know, you're kind of a poser driving this because
Oh, you're a total poser.
there's no modification done to the engine or the trans or the rear end. There's been repairs, but apart from that, completely stock. But it has an absolutely amazing exhaust that honestly really brings this car to life and gets a little bit more credit than what's rightfully deserved. Took that long to get to 60.
Yeah, it's slow.
Woo.
It's real slow.
I mean, again, it's like when you hear this car going down the road, it sounds like the gods are raining down. But yet, when you actually see this car go by, it's like, that's kind of unimpressive.
Yes.
Okay. Probably a good call, because I know my sound pretty well. Woo! That was
the speed limit of this said road. I guess we do know that we are going the speed limit and obeying all the traffic laws of North Carolina.
You're driving this car the way it is right now. You're either someone's best friend or someone's worst enemy whenever you roll up to a function.
Yep.
Because people either think, that thing's cool as hell, I love that car, or wow, what a dick.
Why is it so loud?
So now that I have you guys' attention, let's talk about all the stuff that doesn't quite work that right on this car. The factory clock, no. The speedometer kind of just wanders. The regulator on the window is kind of, I mean, it works, but it doesn't work the best. All the interior lights, no. There's a speaker up here on the dash, no. The little 90s gauges, only the oil pressure one works, which is good.
That's just the way it was wired.
Yeah, it kind of works. All the, this thing came with like under dash vents to help with cooling and stuff. Yeah. They don't work. Funny enough, the trunk light works, and the cigarette lighter works. High beams don't work. It's not that the switch doesn't work, it's just electrical wiring stuff.
They used to.
They used to, but that's the problem with like with these old cars. And again, old electronics, they work up to a certain point, but then once they get so old, stuff starts to break down. I mean, that's just anything. Parking brake doesn't work. The two mirrors on each side are non-existent. The one that actually happened to the driver's side one doesn't have a mirror. It just has the spot where one should be. What happened was Matthew was driving around, and all of a sudden he noticed that it was really loose because it was like a screw-in mechanism in which it fell off, and he pulled over and tried to grab it, and right when he was about to grab it, car ran over it. You want to guess which kind of car? A Prius. It happens.
On Valentine's Day of all days.
And on Valentine's Day. But another thing that doesn't work is the passenger side mirror, because it's just aftermarket and it's kind of janky, and it doesn't want to stay still. It just wobbles all over the place like a wet noodle. This car used to have sun visors, but when the people redid the headliner, they just never put them back in. So, good thing is the radio works, but it's an aftermarket unit. Every time you turn on the car, it resets. So like, let's say, you had it, because the thing has Bluetooth, and let's say you had it to your Bluetooth and you're listening to like Black Sabbath or Metallica or something like that, the typical kind of music you listen to in this car. And you got the car to go grab something, you have to turn it off, because again, every time you stop in this car for more than a minute or two, you're going to want to turn it off because of how much gas it goes through. And it'll reset to where you basically have to reconnect again. And the problem is it's an aftermarket unit, so it doesn't always cooperate. So that's an issue. There used to be an ashtray down here in the center console. There isn't any longer, it's just a hole. Almost forgot.
What?
The heater core, which blew up on the sky during prom. Again, this was back in the day where you really had to drive the car. Today, all of your cars, they have lane assist, blind spot warning, radar cruise control. It's nice, don't get me wrong. I've been in a car where you have all those features. They are nice. They're good for creature comforts, and they're good to live with. But in terms of a driving feel, it doesn't get much better than a classic car, because you can feel the road, you can feel what the car is doing. You don't need an OBD2 to tell you what's wrong. You just know. The problem is, when you don't know, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Just to touch on it briefly, the kind of respect that you get from people that you just don't get in another car. Trust me, you're not going to get this kind of respect from so many different people in any other car. I believe that. Because if you drive a Lambo or a Ferrari, people are just going to think you're compensating for something. But with this, especially with the older generations, for them it harks back to their childhood, or a simpler time, I guess. But for us younger people, we think it's fast and it's loud, so I like it. Well, just anything old mechanical, you kind of get that feel of where it does have a soul, and you do have to get used to certain things on it. Its main feature is fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Its only feature.
let's be real. I mean, you're not going to drive this car to get MPG. You're going to drive it to look cool and to have some fun with it. And that's what you get, because this thing is just amazing. Because there's nothing like it. Alright guys, well, I'm going to call it for today. Because, again, shout out again to Matthew for letting me do a review on his car. It is a pleasure driving this thing, seriously. With all of its sketchiness, it is so much fun that you really can't get anywhere else apart from a classic car. But, again, thanks to Matthew. And to answer the question, yes, this is a real muscle car. Because you know what? It can stand up to all the abuse you throw at it and keep on chugging. And with that, I'm signing off. Thanks for joining me on this review, guys. Peace.
I thought it was.
60.